So welcome to the sixth tutorial session of problem solving through programming in C. So this is a SWAYAM course which is floated by Professor Anubhav Basu from Department of CSA, IIT Kharagpur, and I am Siddhant. I am one of the 4 TAs who is in charge of this tutorial sessions where we will be discussing some sample questions and clarifying doubts which will help you out with the assignments as well as with the um, final exam. Okay, so this week we more or less visited arrays. We had the preface to the arrays, what are arrays, and how can we initialize arrays, how to retrieve, how to store data into an array, and how to retrieve data from an array, and so on. So we'll be solving a few questions regarding that. So the first question that I have is, so we'll start with pretty straightforward questions. And so I have an array which has 3 elements, and 3 elements I'm initializing them to 10, 12 and 14. So here I'm basically initializing the array. Okay. I'm initializing this integer array of 3 elements as 10, 12 and 14. So and then I'm writing a of 1 is equal to 20, and I'm printing all the 3 elements one by one in this using this while loop, as you can see. So I have written I is equal to 0, then I less than 3. So you have 3 elements starting from index 0, so 0, 1 and 2, and I'm printing each of these elements using a of I, which is the way to retrieve the retrieve as well as store elements or store values into an array, and then I'm doing I++. So basically I'm printing all the elements of the array. So what should be the output to this particular code? You can either unmute and speak, or you can probably write it in the chat. It's up to you. So yeah, it will be option B, because here we are saying that at index of 1 we are storing the value of 20. So basically A is an array of 3 elements. So this has an index of 0, this has 1 and 2. So this is the index. So index, the first element has an index of 0, the second element has an index of 1, and the third element has an index of 2. So when we define an array of 3 elements, it basically we are having 3 elements with the index 0, 1 and 2. So when we say a of 1, that is, this is the index that we are specifying, that that at the first index, the element at the first index should be 20. So here initially it was 10, 12 and 14, and then we changed this particular uh, element which is at index number 1 to the value of 20. So when we print this now, so we'll get 10, 20 and 14. So this will be the answer. Okay, fine. So let's move on to the next question. So we have an integer array. It says and the size of the array is 15. That means it has 15 elements, right? 15 elements in an integer array, and it is specified that a single integer takes 2 bytes of memory. Now if we are defining an integer array of size 15, and integer is taking 2 bytes of memory, the memory location of the first byte of the array is 2000. So array, as you know, is a uh, contiguous memory, contiguous set of memory locations, right? So keeping that in mind, it is the question is saying that the memory location of the first byte of the array is 2000. So this is the memory location of the first byte of the array. So this is where the array starts at 2000. So what will be the location of the 13th element of the array? So basically it's asking that where will the 13th element of the array start? So what should be the answer here? So here the total, what is the total space that is taken by this array? Let us just check that. So we have 2 bytes of memory per integer and size, the number of elements is 15. So total memory would be 2 into 15, right? So total memory is 30 bytes. So 30 bytes is the total memory occupied by the array. Now, when I say contiguous memory locations, that means in the RAM there are many counters like this. Like you'll find many such consecutive counters, and all these are having say some byte allocations. Like each of the spaces is 1 byte or something. And what happens here is this, when we define this array of size 15, 15 consecutive spaces will be allocated to store this particular array. Okay, so and that 15 consecutive spaces, each of the spaces is of 2 bytes. Alright, so if I say this is of 2 bytes, then this is of 2 bytes, and so on. So, and the question says that this starts from 2000. So by the time I hit 13th element, 12 elements are already done. Like 12 elements I have already stored. Okay, so uh, 12 elements occupy 24 bytes of memory. Now that means the 13th element will start at, no, 2024. It will start at 2024. So see, the first element starts at 2000. So the 13th element with will start at where the 12th element ends, right? The 12th element ends at 2024. So the 13th element starts at 2024. The 13th element finishes at 2026. Okay. So here the answer will be 2024. Okay, is that clear? Okay. Okay. So let's go to the next question. So we have questions here which is like a combination of switch case as well as arrays. So we have defined the array of size 6. It is an integer array, and we are saving, basically initializing the array with 6 different integer values. That is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then we are doing a switch of size of something, and we have many different cases, and we are printing something. So what should be the output of this particular code? Say you can consider the int, say you can consider as 2 bytes here. Okay, so what should be the uh, output of this particular code? So size of, basically what it does, this size of it is kind of a miscellaneous operator, or kind of a function also, you can say. So what it does, it returns the number of bytes occupied. Okay, number of bytes occupied by that variable. So here, as I said, A is a integer array of 6 elements, and every integer, say it is 2 bytes. So size of A is basically 2 into 6, that is 12 bytes, right? So here we are basically writing switch of 12, and switch of 12 does not exist here, right? It is just from case 1 to case 5. So switch of 12 does not exist. So this switch case does not serve any purpose. Nothing will be done in this switch case, because it does not find a the same case. Like if there was a case 12, it whatever was under case 12, it would have worked that out. But there is no case 12, so there is no matching case here. So it will just exit from the switch case and it will print the next statement. So the print statement is IIT Madras. So here the output will be just IIT Madras. This IIT Madras here is kind of similar to the default statement. Yeah. here, like it serves a purpose similar to the default statement here. Okay, but not exactly also, because say if you had a case which was matching, then IIT KGP would have say it was matching with case 4. Okay, let us assume that it was matching with case 4. So in case 4 it would have fallen through and it would have printed IIT KGP, and say default no, IIT Madras was default case. Default case wouldn't have been printed in that in such a scenario. Okay, so in that case only IIT KGP would have been printed. Now if IIT Madras, if this printf IIT Madras statement was a default statement, so here it is not a default statement. Say in this case my size of A becomes 4. Okay, so case 4 will be executed, then both IIT KGP as well as IIT Madras will be printed. You understand, right? The difference. So when there is a matching case, the default will not be executed. Only if there is no matching case, then only the default case will be executed. And but here if it is outside the switch case, in any condition it will be executed. Okay, yeah, so here the answer is IIT Madras. Okay, so let's see the next question. So we have an array that we have defined of size 2, and we have initialized the array, and we are trying to print some particular element of the array. So what should be the output of this particular program? Yeah, why should that be? Okay, yeah, so we have basically specified the array size as 2, but we have initialized 5 values, right? Yeah, 5 integer values. So there is a mismatch here, because our array size is 2 and we are initializing 5 int values here. So this statement itself is problematic. It will throw a compilation error here. Okay. What if I had written ARR blank braces and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? What if I had written this instead of 3? Yeah, but should it print 3? The index starts from 0. Yeah. So no matter what we have initialized here, the values themselves don't matter. Whenever we are writing ARR in bracket of something, that means we are saying that this is the index, and index always starts from 0. Okay, so that is why here in this particular case, if we just use blank square braces here, so it would have been an array of size 5, and ARR of 3 would be 4 here, right? So in that case 4 would have been the answer, right? 4 would have been printed. Okay, now okay, let me ask another question. Say what would be this ARR of 3? Yeah, in parenthesis I have written ARR plus 1, and then square braces 3. What does that mean? So what this, yeah, yes, it will be 5. Why? Because this ARR, when we say ARR, just uh, here in this case, when we say ARR, this is basically something which is called a pointer. We will learn about it later on. So this is a pointer to the first element. So it points, rather, let me say it, it points to the first element of the array. Okay, it points to the first element of the array, that is 1 here. The first element is 1. Now when we write ARR plus 1, that means we are shifting it to point to the second element of the array. Yeah, the subsequent element. So we are writing plus 1 here. So it will, by default, it will point to, so ARR plus 1 basically points to the second element of the array, which is in this case, which is 2. And now the counting of the index, then we have written this index notation, that is in square braces 3. That means the counting of the index will start considering this second element as 0. So ARR plus 1, when we say this entire ARR plus 1, the parenthesis part, it points to 0 as the first element of the array, which is ARR plus 1. Okay. Now if we count from there, considering the second element to be 0, 0, 1, 2, 3, right? So 5 will be the, in that case 5 will be printed. Okay. Okay. So let's move to the next question. So what will be the output of this following program? We have a array, an integer array ARR, and the size is 3, and we are initializing some value, and basically we're printing the value. So what will be the output in this particular program? Uh, okay. Yeah, the output here, it will be 300. It will not be syntax error. The answer here will be 300, the output. Why? Because if we have, so basically the compiler will take that this is the initial, this is initialized to ARR of 0, okay, and the others will be initialized to the default value. So when we define an array, the default initialization value is 0 in C. So the default initialization value is 0. So suppose we had written ARR of 3, just this much, int ARR of 3. Okay, we have not initialized this, then we would have got 0, 0, 0. So basically all the elements of the array is initialized automatically to 0 in case of int. Okay, so in this case our first element, this we have written this 3, but we have not specified the other elements. That means the other elements will automatically take a value of 0, and the first element will have the value of 3. So here the answer will be 300. Okay. Okay. If anyone has any doubts till now, you can just write it in the chat, or maybe you can unmute and ask. If anyone is fine. Okay, otherwise let's go to the next question. So we have an array, like you can see the array size has not been specified here. So the compiler will take whatever size has been initialized here. So a size of 6 basically we are giving it through the initialization step, and our array, our integer array variable, which is ARR, is a has 6 elements, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and now we are defining some I, j and k, and we are setting the value uh, according in some post increment and pre increment fashion. So what should be the answer here? What should be the output rather? Option D. Okay, we'll see. Okay, so we have this array. Let me write down the index on top of it so that we can know which is being specified here. So first is this j is equal to plus plus ARR of 2. Okay, Now, what is ARR of 2? ARR of 2, that is index of 2 is value of 3, and we are increasing the value by 1 by pre-incrementing it. So the array basically becomes 1, 2, 3, it was 3 earlier, so now it becomes 4, 4, 5, fourth one. Okay, yeah, let's solve it, and then we'll know. I think it should be the fourth one, but let's confirm that. Okay, so here we have the third element basically, which is at index number 2. The value is incremented by 1 and then it is stored in J. So I have incremented the value of 3 by 1 because it's the third element, which is at index 2. So now the array is something like this: 1, 2, 4, 4, 5, 6, and J has the value of 4. Okay. Now the next step is k is equal to ARR of 1 plus plus. So what is ARR of 1? The first at index 1 the value is 2 in this particular. Now we'll refer this array because this is a changed array now. So it has a at index 1 we have a value of 2, but this is a post increment operation. So first it will set the value, it will do the assignment operation here, which is the value of k will take the value of 2, and then the value of this particular element will increase by 1. So now the array becomes 1, 3, 4, 4, 5, 6. After this particular line has been executed, the value of k becomes 2 and the array is now 1, 3, 4, 4, 5, 6. Now what is the next statement? I is equal to ARR of j plus plus. So as you can see, this is a post increment operation. Now what exactly happens here is our j value is 4. Now this basically means we are saying ARR of 4 and then we are increasing the value of j by 1. Okay, so so now what is ARR of 4? 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. ARR of 4 is 5. Okay, but at the same after this assignment operation is over, the value of j is increased by 1 because it's an increment on j, it's not an increment on the entire array. Okay, it's not an increment on the array element, rather it's an increment on the value of j here. So after the assignment operation is over, that is ARR of 4, which was the value of j, the value of j will increase by 1, it will become 5. Okay, so now after all of these statements have been executed, the value of I is 5, the value of j is 5, and the value of k is 2. Okay, so we should have option A, not D. So I think most of you made the mistake at this last step, I think, where this j plus plus is occurring. So so here this is in the earlier cases, as you can see, it was a increment, like it was a pre-increment and post-increment on this particular element, that is ARR of 2 in this case, which was a pre-increment, and ARR of 1 in this case, which was a post increment. But in this case it was a increment, it was a post increment on the value of j. So first we are evaluating ARR of j, which was 4. So ARR of 4 is 5, that is the ARR of 4 means the fifth element. Here the fifth element is 5, so the it will be stored in I, that the value of I will be 5, and then the value of j will increase by 1 because it's a post increment, and it was 4 earlier, so it will become 5 now. So finally we will have I is equal to 5, j is equal to 5, k is equal to 2. Okay, okay, I hope yeah, if you have any doubts you can just ask me then straight away, or we'll move to the next question. Okay. Okay, so I have one more, okay, two more questions here. So we have this integer array A which has 4 elements, and we have a few other integer variables, and we are doing some operations. Keep in mind we are doing this continue. If you remember from the previous lectures, break and continue are flow control statements. So continue, basically what it does is it omits the statements following it, and it will move to the next iteration. Okay, so just keeping all those things in mind, can you just tell me what will be the output after this particular code is executed? Just try to work this out. And after working this out, you can tell me what exactly does this code do, this particular code. What is it, what purpose is it solving? Like, what is this code for? So we are initializing this array, which is 3, 1, 2, 4, and then we are saying that the result is a of 0, right? So a of 0 is 3. Now the iteration starts from 1. You can keep that in, just check it out here. So the iteration starts with iterator I starting from 1, and it will go up till 3. Okay, because once it reaches 4, the loop will exit. So it will, I will have the value of 1, 2 and 3. So let's see, when I is equal to 1, what happens? So result is greater than a of I, that is a of 1. So is 3 greater than 1? Yes, this is true. So continue is executed. It will just skip this part. Okay. Now the I value becomes 2 now. Okay. So it will go, because of continue, this particular statement is omitted. It will go to the next iteration. So I becomes 2. Now again it checks the value of result is greater than a of 2. So result is still 3, because in this step was omitted in the iteration I is equal to 1. So currently result has a value of 3, a of 2 is 2, right? So if I write the index 0, 1, 2, 3, so this is the index. So a of 2 basically is 2. So 3 is greater than 2, so this is still true, and continue will be executed. Okay, again it will skip to the next iteration. So now it goes to I is equal to 3, the last iteration. Now what happens here? So again result is greater than 3. This condition is checked. So what is the value of a of 3? The value is 4. Okay. Now our result has a value of 3 currently, and a of 3 is 4. That means it's a false condition, right? Now because this is a false condition, this continue is not executed anymore, and it will come to the next statement, which is result is equal to a of I. Now result is equal to a of I, meaning result is equal to a of 3, which basically is 4. And now we'll exit the iteration, the for loop, and we'll print the result, so it comes out as 4. So what exactly does this code do? Can somebody tell me? Yes, so it gives the greatest number in the array. So if you want to see what, so this particular algorithm is for the largest integer in the array. Okay, so we are checking, what we are doing here basically is, this is the condition we are checking if the if it is not the largest value. So we have set this result value to the first index, and we are checking it with respect to all other elements. Okay, now once we encounter an element which is higher than the result value, we will replace the result value with that particular element, and we will continue. Okay, and we'll keep on doing the iterations until the entire array is checked. Once the array is checked, the final value that we'll have in the result, that will be the largest value in the array. Okay, so this particular algorithm is for finding the largest integer in the array. Okay, so what would you have done if you wanted to find the smallest integer in the array? Like, what changes would have been required here if you say you wanted to find the smallest element of the array? What would you have done? And what changes would you have done here? See, I starting from say 3 or something, it does not matter in which manner you are progressing across the loop. Okay, progressing across the array. So uh, in even if you want to check the smallest, you can, even in this case you could have set the value of result to 4 and started backwards in checking the largest number of the array. So you don't need to change the iterator statement. Okay, iterator statement anyway is fine. You can go forward or go backward. Accordingly, your result you should have changed this. Okay, and but there will be some differences concern in with the condition that you are mentioning here. Okay, so instead of mentioning a greater than symbol, you would have probably mentioned yeah. So you would have result less than a of I, that everything else would remain the same. Okay, think about it. If you are not able to get it immediately, you just think about it, why should be less than. You can take the same example, and you can the same example 3 1 2 4, this array, and you can try it by just changing this condition in this manner that I have done, and you see what is the final output from uh, in that case. Okay. Okay, so this is a miscellaneous question actually. It is related to switch case statements. It's not exactly in the arrays as such. So it's pretty straightforward also. We have an integer n and a integer variable sum, which is having the value of 5. So what should be the answer here? Just you can quickly calculate this and tell me the answer. Okay. Yes, the answer should be 8. So here we are doing a switch case with the value of n. So value of n is 2. So it will go to case 2. So this statement is executed. Sum is equal to sum minus 3. So basically it is 5 minus 3, which is 2. But there is no break statement as such. So it will go and execute the next statement as well. And that is sum is equal to sum into 4 basically. So this is a shorthand operator for that. Uh, so the value of sum is 2, so it will multiply it with 4, and it will have the value will become 8, and then we have a break statement. So it will break out of this switch case, and it will print the value of sum, which is 8. This is quite straightforward, just having this fall through occurring here. Okay, because of the lack of break statement, a fall through is occurring from case 2 to case 3, after which there is a break statement, so it exits from the switch case condition. Okay, so now I have a program for you. Write a C program to delete an element from a specified location in the array. Okay, so let's say I have an array of 5 elements. Say I'm saying the value are 10, 20, 30, 40 and 50. Okay, so say I have an array of 5 elements, and I want now I want to delete the fourth element. Okay, or say not the fourth element, I want to delete the second element, that is 20 here. I want to delete the second element. So how exactly should I go about doing this? Just think about it a bit, and then I'll discuss the algorithm. So say POS is the value, that is the value of 2. Okay, so POS is 2. This is the element I want to delete, which is 2. That is the second element. Okay, and I have this value, which is this array, which is of size 5. So n is equal to 5, and say my array element name is ARR. Okay, so it is ARR of n basically. So ARR is the variable name of this particular array. So what should I write? So what basically I have to do? So if I delete the second element, I have to I have to shift all these elements by 1 upwards, right? In this case. So what I have to do, if I delete 20, then 10 will remain unchanged, but I'll delete this. Okay, and this will come here, this will come here, this will come here. So all the elements which are after the second element, or whichever element is to be deleted, all the elements after that particular element have to be shifted by one value to a previous element. Previous element meaning, so this is index 0, this is index 1, 2, 3 and 4. So we have to shift it to the previous index. So here 30 will be shifted from index 2 to index 1. Similarly 40 will be shifted from index 3 to index 2. So finally we should have an array which is 10, 30, 40, 50. This can be left blank as it is. Okay, it does not matter what we have here. Okay, so in what should we write? We should have a loop which will run from the element like from this particular element till the end, right? We need a loop which will run from the element after this till the end. So what is the value of POS is 2, and the index that we need to access first is also 2, so we'll start from there. And till when should it go? It should go till, okay, it should go till the value of n, right? That is the number, the maximum, the total number of elements that is present there. Okay, so let's see what should be the statement. All right, so let's see now. We are starting from the value of 2. POS is 2, so that means the value of 30. Now where does this 30 need to go? It needs to go to index 1. So what we will write? POS minus 1. Okay, so basically POS minus 1 means in this at least for the first iteration, ARR of 1, that means the second element here which we are deleting. Now this particular place will store the element which is at value which is at ARR of 2. So here for the first iteration what we are doing, basically we are shifting this 30 to the index 1. Okay, is this step clear how it is being done? Like basically we are saving the value of 30 here. Okay, now what exactly needs to be done? Say saying POS plus plus here. So what will happen? Now let's do it, like let's see what exactly does this do. So initially POS is 2, and what we are doing is ARR of 1 is equal to ARR of 2 is basically 30. So 30 has become 30 has shifted now. So 30 is finished shifting. Now for the next iteration, POS is equal to 3. We have done an increment operation here. So POS is equal to 3. Now POS minus 1 means 2. We'll have the value of 3, ARR of 3, that is 40. So now 40 has also shifted. Okay. Now when we are having POS of 4, so ARR of 3 is equal to ARR of 4. Now ARR of 4 is 50. So now 50 has shifted upwards. Okay. Now POS will become 5, but this condition is no more satisfied because now it is less than, not less than, equal to. So it is less than. So 5 is not less than 5. So loop exit, right? So now your loop will look something like this: 50, and then it will be 50, but we will not consider this particular one. We'll just ignore this one because we have shifted the other elements. We'll consider the first 4. So how to do that now? We will decrease the value of n by 1. So basically what we are saying is we have a array which is of size 4, not 5. So we'll just ignore whatever is in this last memory space. So after this loop exits, we'll have n minus minus. Okay, so that will decrease the value of the like the number of elements in the array from 5 to 4. Okay, is this algorithm clear? Okay, probably you can revisit this. I have also the code here. So what we initially do is we take the size of the array from as the input from the user. Then we define this array of this particular size, and we go from and we accept all the inputs. So this is basically, this step is just taking inputs from the user, like the values as what input? Array elements. Okay, we are just taking the array elements as input. Now we are taking the position where the which element is to be deleted. So here POS, say I want to delete the second element, I'll give a value of 2. Okay, so once I do that, I'll write a loop which will do the same calculation that I just showed to you. We'll keep shifting until we reach the end of the array, and finally we'll be reducing this num, which was the size of the array, by 1, because now one element we have deleted. So we have a smaller array now, so we'll just represent that, and finally we'll print the output. We'll print the array, that is the after deleting and shifting the elements, we have printed this array now. So it will go from 0 till, say, num was 5 initially, so it will go from 0 to less than 4, that is 0 to 3. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 elements will be printed. Okay, so you can just go through this particular code. I'll upload this as PDF in the in that link that you can find on the course page. So you can go through this code and try to understand, try to change things and figure out how exactly it is working. So that will that will be easier for you. Okay, so these are all the questions that I had for you uh, today. So if there are any doubts, I can probably clear them, or we can end the session here. Okay. I guess there are no doubts, so let's end the session here. Uh, yeah. So there are actually many different websites that you can use. There is this website, I think program is. I'm just writing it in the chat. You can just check that programiz.com or something. The name is programiz, okay, with a Z at the end. So in that they have actually a lot of programs, like around 50 or so programs they have. C examples. If you just check, search for C examples, you'll find them. Okay, let me, yeah, I've put the link as well. So here in this particular link, program is, they have a lot of examples in C. Similarly, you can also get examples from say Geeks for Geeks. There are a lot of websites actually, Tutorials Point and so on. Okay, you'll have a lot of examples from all of those websites in different fields. You can see a lot of things would be also there, which is not yet covered in the course. But there will be questions which are like on the topics that have been covered till now. So you can just refer those questions. Okay, so you can practice more questions from there. Okay, so thank you for joining. We'll meet next week in the same time slot, 6 to 7, Tuesday. Thank you.